Hey, on the previous video, we found that our host um, is hosting the Windows 2008 Enterprise, and we saw um, that it is vulnerable to the MS 17010. So what we're going to do now is we are going to try to exploit it, and so for that we are going to be using another module. So the module that we're going to be using, it is now going to be this scanner over here. So what can you do from here? What you can do is, this is one of the things that I love um, Metasploit for. So even from here, you don't need to go back and then search. From over here, you can just do search, and you can just search for like MS17, and let's see what we find. So when you search for that, you can see that you're going to see a bunch of auxiliary, but we're not going to use that because we already used one and we know that it found that it is vulnerable. So now we are going to use some of the exploits, and the one that I actually want to use is the PS exec. I mean, you can use any of the other ones over here. You can see that the PS exec one only is normal for the rank. The SMB double pulsar are remote code execution is great, but the thing is that the double pulsar RCE, or remote code execution, only works for x64, so you gotta be careful, right? If we go over here, let's go ahead and just, so you can see it, let's go ahead and use 11, and you can see that the payload that it shows you that it picked is an x64 one. So that's not going to work for my server because my server is an x86, right? If you also do a show payloads, from here you can see all the payloads that you can use for this module that we use, show payloads. And you can see over here that we don't have any. Let's go ahead and make this maybe a little bit smaller so it looks better. There we go. So from over here you can see that all the payloads that are available are for Windows 64. And also if you do a show targets, this one will show you the targets. You can see that it is only for x64, so therefore I don't want to use that. So let's go ahead and do a search MS17 again, and I know as a fact, because I've used it before, that the one that works for that has x86, or 32 bits, is this one over here, right? It's compatible with that. So we do if we use 10, that's going to take me to use a different module, and you can see the default payload. You got to pay attention to the payload, right? Because since we have at 86 x86 or 32-bit, we got to make sure that this one is compatible. I know it is compatible, but you got to make sure that it's compatible. So if we do clear, let's go ahead and do options, so you can show me the options where I need to fill out. We have the R host, so let's go ahead and set that R host. And the way you do that, you do set, and then you specify what you want to set. Our host 192.168.1.53. This one we're going to leave it as a default. The ports we did, the host is in there, and this one are set up already. Also, you need to make sure that you set up your L host, and your L host is the local machine, your computer's machine, right? So from here you can do show targets to see who's going to be the targets. You can see that we have different targets and asking for x64, which means that it is probably going to be compatible with the 32-bit server that we are going to be exploiting. And also if we do a show payload to see what available payloads we have, you can see that we are going to have a 64-bit version, and we're also going to see that we have 86-bit payload. So you can see by that you are going to know that this is going to be good for the server, right? You need to make sure that it's compatible to the server, to whatever bit you are running. Always pay attention to that. All right, let's go ahead and clear this out. Let's go ahead and do options again. If I spelled out correctly, options, here we go. So everything looks good. Let's go ahead and run it and see what happens. And there we go. We just got a session. So we have exploited that vulnerability. So now if we do a So now we got a interpreter, something that we got to talk about too. To make this bigger for you guys, there we go. So a interpreter is basically it's like an advanced, dynamically and extensive, and a really extensible payload that uses in-memory DLL injection stages. And with interpreter, it's basically like a shell on steroids. You can do a lot of stuff if you get an interpreter. You can do there's a lot of post um, modules that you can use with interpreter, and we are going to be using those on the upcoming video. So we are going to be doing some enumeration. We are going to see who we are and all that stuff. But let's go ahead and give you the basics now. Always do help. Help is going to help you a lot. So we do a help. We can see that we can do hash dump, but be careful with that because you first need to have admin credentials. So we don't know if we are an admin yet. You can get system. You can do play to play some sound. If you want to freak out whoever is in front of that server, you know, you can keyboard send. You can send send keystrokes. You can screen share. You can take a screenshot. You can enumerate the desktop, so list all the accessible desktop and Windows stations. And then the system commands over here, you can do a drop token execute, so you can execute a command, CMD command. You can get one or more environment variables. So there's a lot of stuff that you can do. You can get the SID of the user that the server is running as. You can do the get UID to get the user that the server is running as. You can kill the process, local time. You can reboot if you have access to it. You can shut down. You can do a shell instead of a interpreter. So if you want to get rid of the interpreter, all you have to do is just do a shell, and that will take you back to like the CMD command line. You can do some networking commands over here as well. You can do file system commands as well. You can upload. You can remove. PWD will print the working directory where you are. So there's a lot of commands that you can do, as you can see over here. And let's see, one of the commands that I want to do, because I want to see who am I want to see, I believe is the get UID. Let's do get SID and get UID. So get UID. So we are the anti-authority system, which means that we are a local admin on that machine. And if we get the what was the other one that we can do is the get. So we did the get UID. We can also do the get SID. I thought I did get SID. There we go. So that's the SID. And one of the things that I really like about interpreter is that you can just background it. Background it, basically, it will just take you back to Metasploit, and from here you can search for like modules that you can run, and then you can execute those on that session. And the way that you go back, or that if you want to list all the sessions, you can do sessions I, and you can see that we have a session. It is the anti-authority system at file share, and it will tell you where your connection is and where it is connected. You can see that it is an x86, and if you want to go back, all you have to do is specify which one you want to go back to, right, by the ID. Because if you have like 20 of them, you want to specify which one you are. So therefore, I want to go back to that one, and I got back to that one, and you can see that we are back to the get UID. We are the anti-authority system.